Well, I said I wouldn't do another video today, but this is a must-see. Literally an hour ago, I went through it, followed the track to Twitter, went through the BBC in great detail. The reporter who did the question period for the UK, I'm telling you everybody, unbelievable. Trudeau, and you've got to watch it. You've got to watch the video, look it up. He goes off the rails, absolutely, on none other than the G7 interview, end of the weekend. Just loses it. Trudeau, when asked what was the greatest thing of this G7, what's fundamental that's going to change all these countries and make great achievements for the world, he goes off the rails, doesn't want to talk about the G7, further tells BBC off as though he already knows, he knows the truth, that four of the G7 countries, including Canada, has no place whatsoever in the G7 going forward. In fact, absolute economic ruin. UK corners him on it. What does he do? You will wrap fish with your newspapers. That's what they'll be used for. He attacks mainstream media out of the UK because he doesn't want to talk about the G7. You know what he goes back to? Donald Trump's G7, the last one. How women are going to benefit, thousands of women around the world, from literally hundreds of millions and billions of dollars from Canadian taxpayers. Wow, that's what you got from this year's G7? Free vaccines for anybody around the world, but nothing in any real economic impact for Canada and three other G7 countries. He was cornered, loses it, goes flippin' ballistic and goes off on a rant about the last G7 meeting in 2018. Everybody, you have to watch it. Trudeau's nothing but a joke. The other three of the seven G7, the non-P5, are already going in different directions entirely. Germany going for natural gas from Russia. You're not going to hear about that in the news. You actually have to go to Russia and Merkel. You got to go to Putin and Merkel to get that. As she says, look, we're shutting down our old, dilapidated, nuclear, highly enriched reactors pre-nuclear proliferation, meaning older than 1968. Because going forward, none of the G7, four of those countries, can't go back into proliferation, meaning energy. USA clearly states 110%. Biden, Senate, and House, Republican, Democrat alike. We have billionaires in the USA saying, yeah, Green New Deal except for we're going full proliferation nuclear. Sorry the rest of you can't participate. Oh, but guess what you can do at the G7? Free vaccines for all the countries of the world. Canadian taxpayers can pay for it. Women and girl children are going to get educated by Canadian taxpayers all over the world. It's not even record numbers are changing the world. We're talking tens of thousands of girls and women. Really nice, Canada, but where is your economics going forward? What is this great new deal that's going to do so much for Canada? Oh, we're going to take care of plastics. We're going to spend all kinds of money we don't have on cleaning up the world's plastics problem. That's what Canada's committed to. Oh, but guess what economic advantages we're going to have going forward? Sweet diddly dick. Nothing. And I hate to say that, everybody. Nothing. And Trudeau tells off a British newspaper, highly respectable BBC, tells off the reporter, goes into 2018 about all the great achievements of the past. Justin Trudeau. You spent a weekend eating steaks, no one wearing masks, all partying, getting drunk, spending millions of dollars. Literally, everybody. We spent millions on that weekend adventure for the Canadian government. And they've solved none of our serious crises coming forward. No economic advantages out of the G7. Quite entirely the opposite. Now, Merkel clearly states, sorry, our nuclear highly enriched reactors built pre-1968 are going down, and we're going with natural gas from Russia. Italy concurs. They're going with that pipeline too. That's what they're doing. They're not going to reinvest in unenriched uranium because it's not economically viable. Centralization, equalization, Canada only goes so far. Alberta is finished now. There's no more. There's no more subsidy that can extend beyond Upper Canada. Those reactors that are being refurbished, that's it, and they require extensive taxpayer subsidy. There's not enough energy out of those. The amount of money to get the energy out is not worth what it can put forward for hydrogen cells, hydrogen fuel. We're just not going to be in that hemisphere of competitive. Now, we were with coal and absolutely with natural gas, and we could easily dominate the entire world in highly enriched proliferation in nuclear reactors. I'm not talking about making bombs. I'm saying if we could even just match the USA in the same reactor technology, then we could, but we can't. Only 3 of the G7 can do that. Canada, Italy, Germany. No, they're not going to be able to do it. 4 out of 7 have to go another direction. Japan is going with China. We don't even know their narrative yet. USA just passed a law a lot of people are talking about. You're wrong about that. USA is trying to fight back against China, when really the easiest thing is to sign the Declaration of Human Rights 1948, meaning Russia in this next meeting has to sign on. If Russia doesn't sign it, making it all 5 binding coming up here in a month, China's not going to follow any of it because it's not really world binding law. Any of the 5 can say, I'm not going to follow it. Everybody else who signed has to follow it, but not any member of the 5. If not all 5 have ratified it, Russia needs to ratify it. Because of that, China can go its own way, and there is nothing anyone can do about it outside of a World War III. And I don't see USA going that route. Not today, not anytime soon. The reliance on the supply chains clearly shows China is doing well and they continue to grow. USA is maximizing that. They're utilizing that as a P5, not Canada. We're subject to, just as we're subject to the 31-year China-Canada CINO deal signed by Harper. Sorry, Canadians, that's reality. This G7 ended in epic failure. And when Trudeau was cornered by the UK, he goes off the rails. Nothing logical, nothing spewed out, not one word about any economic or viable achievements for Canada or several members of the G7. It was an utter disaster. It was a party where Trudeau spent your tax dollars and achieved absolutely nothing for Canadians. Absolutely the opposite. This is where you're going, Canadians. This is breaking news. Breaking news. Now there's a second portion in this title that I want to go into too, and I've forgotten it. Constitutionalism. Ruth Ginsburg. Sorry everybody, almost lost it. This is important. A bunch of people on Twitter tag me and they say, what of this? And they take an outtake from Richard Albert on Ruth Ginsburg of the time when she was alive in 2012, saying Canada's charter epic for the world. Oh, look at this. I'm going to explain something to all Canadians now, and it's really, really troubling because people like to cut and paste what they think is popular, what they think is great and wonderful. However, it's not the full story. There's something called constitutional migration. Are you guys ready for the impacts Canada alone has had on the world? Just in absolute recent worldwide amendments of some pretty big, terrific powers. The Charter of Rights and Freedoms in Canada would be absolutely great in a country like the United States of America, where they're constitutionally bound to we the people. That is not Canada. Not even close. We are nothing like the United States. Having a charter that is in the hands of the politicians to interpret with every elected official does not equal those rights. The USA, the politicians don't hold your rights. They're subject to rules of governance, how to govern under a republic where this is cemented absolutely constitutionally. There are some terrific things in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms for Canada, 1982, that would definitely benefit a country like the United States. They have a lot of freedoms, but they don't have all of them. Canada puts out some more. And that's true, that's great and wonderful. That would be great to see the USA adopt some of those, finish off their institution, getting up their old institution into modern time. That's what Ruth's talking about. Ruth was not talking about going backwards into colonialism and adopting a constitutional monarchy. For one, that's illegal in the USA, illegal in international law, but 1982's charter is a terrific piece. It just doesn't work in Canada because Canada's a constitutional monarchy where Canada gets to decide through whoever you elect as a politician what rights you will get and how they will be interpreted. Your courts are subject to Lieutenant Governor and Governor General back to Prime Minister. Massive, super powerful executive power of the Crown, which is Prime Minister. Ruth was only talking in that article, everybody. Those who are bringing that forward and putting Richard Albert's name on it, you can't just take little pieces of a massive document and say, oh look, I got 3/4 of a page you have to read. That's out of 485-page document in elite world law. I know, I read its entirety. And this, I understand the need for people to look at stuff, but anybody can grab a paragraph out of anything and say, oh look, this is what it really is. Look what the person said. No, if you had read the chapter that was focused out of, it was on constitutional migration, which, you guys want to hear some more from Canada's great constitution? How about the crap, the absolute crap of our constitution that's been constitutionally migrated to other countries? Did you all know Vladimir Putin just did constitutional migration from Canada to the Russian Federation just as of January last year? Do you know what those were? No term limits. Guess who else has no term limits? Well, that would be Canada. Canada, you can get elected as many times as you can win an election. You never have to leave office in Canada. You could get in at 18 years old, and if you have the money, the skill, the power to convince everybody, you could stay in power for upwards of 15 years. Pierre Elliott Trudeau was in power for 16 years. Putin constitutionally migrated that from Canada. He even said, when USA flipped out and called him autocratic, said, whoa, your best friend Canada, look where it comes from. You love Canada, you say they're great, wonderful, and free, USA. I'm only adopting their constitutional amendments. What's the difference? I name Prime Minister and President in my system. They name Governor General and Her Majesty in an illusion of Queen Elizabeth II, who has no governance over Canada whatsoever. And in fact, when you look at the terminology, it means Prime Minister. It's been that way since, like a lot of people say, yes, since the 30s, yes, since Westminster, but officially work done by King George VI entirely 1952. 0 UK representatives whatsoever in Canada in any governing role or crown position. All absolutely by Prime Minister, appointed, and of her Majesty, whomever you elect. That's Canada. That is what Russia took, but changed the definition to Prime Minister and President, and is going to flip them for no term limits. And people want to criticize or, oh, look, this person. It's called constitutional migration. I suggest a lot of people read that stuff, and instead of just taking a paragraph out of context, out of a massive document, when clearly that legal chapter, and this is legal elite, this is somebody who's read about 150 books at this point in constitutionalism and got to that level, not zipping through something advanced reading, pulling a paragraph and saying, hey, look what this person's evil, you're wrong, you're wrong. No, you looked for something, you pulled out of an extremely large document to fit your narrative, which was taken out of context. Here's another one. Indian agent out of the Indian Act. Are you ready for this one? Do you know what China recently amended and put in their system with Africa? And I know because I'm the only Canadian who sat on the African Communist China Party symposium with many, many experts in Africa. I'm comfortable enough to get invited to those things and participate. And do you know what I learned? Right out of Canada's gross genocidal Indian Act, the Indian agent, there is now a Chinese agent for Africa, many African nations. Where did it come from? Constitutionally migrated from Canada to China, a UNSC power. Canada is negatively affecting the world a heck of a lot larger than many experts realize. I know because I live in colonialism. I'm in Canada, in the system, and I go out on the world stage, having been taught by the greatest professors in the world, bits and pieces, going through it step by step, the good, the bad, and I can guarantee you all, everybody, there's much more bad out of Canada going throughout the world to even world superpowers. World superpowers, meaning Canada's growth system is negatively affecting the P5 even. And it doesn't end there. It's all over the world. Ruth Ginsburg passed away. She wrote a piece Richard quoted from on constitutional migration and how countries pick out things from other countries, make them theirs. Happens all the time. USA's been the most copied. But now, negatively, Canada's system's getting copied out there too. And sure, what Ruth wrote at the time and back in 2012, sure the charter looks great, sure it's something to be proud of, except for its functionability in Canada's colonial system. The politicians hold it, as have all colonial systems right through all age of empires, 900 years, right back to the first living charter from the people, oldest of the old, 1177, and guess what? Since that day, all the days forward, right up to World War II, Crown has never worked for the people. It's been a disaster in all the countries. Most of them moved to republics or parliamentary democracies. Very, very few, except for tyrants, despots, pure autocrats, retain the monarchy. It's of the old world. It's an old garbage system. Even the countries that moved away that still keep the crown, they don't keep that power for the politicians. They leave the symbol. There's a few, New Zealand, Australia. As soon as you see some tagged, look how great New Zealand is, or look how great Australia is. No, they're not great. It's at the tremendous expense of the people. And again, these are places where tremendous populations were replaced. Massive land areas with limited population. Look at Australia, not very different from Canada. Tremendous amount of resources for very few people. And they want to continue the colonialism. Both countries brag about the record immigration coming forward, while they hold peoples in absolute systemic genocidal position, which is illegal in this world today. People can keep going on and on with their narratives, but the reality is, for Canada, 4/5 of the country is not settled, not available to anybody. It's at that elite, first-class, colonial empowered politicians' great wealth of hands, where they fill their back pockets while you're all expensed, living on very little in a tremendous country that should be opened up to everybody. But they don't want you, the people, to have any power whatsoever. They never want to see that. They want to hold you in this age-old system outlawed in the world today. Think, everybody. Focus. Look at what is, not what isn't. You've got to. Because if you don't, we're never going to go anywhere. Thank you. That's my video today. Take care, all. Bye now.